Afternoon, everybody. Just a reminder to use the microphone, which are available to hand out. If not, just state your name and the organisation you work for before asking the question. And we'll start with Nick Collins.
You need that mic.
It's two here.
Gareth, hello. Can I start by asking about the two players that didn't train this morning, Wayne Rooney and Ryan Bertrand? What's the situation with them?
Yeah, both being assessed minor issues this morning. So we'll have a look at them as the day goes on.
Do you get the impression, though, that they would be available for selection? If it's a minor issue, or is it something?
I don't know as yet. I think we'll have to assess that a bit later. They obviously weren't ready to train today, so there must be a doubt, but until we've had a look later we won't know for sure.
I mean, normally if a player missed that training session, would that pretty much rule them out?
Yeah, well, it depends on what the training load has been like prior to that during the week and where they're at. But as I say, until we've had a closer look, then we'll know more.
Understood. Were there any other injury issues at all?
No, everybody else has trained this morning, so we're good to go.
What are your thoughts about this Spain game in terms of how you want to use the squad?
Well, I think it's a good question because there's any number of different ways we could approach the game. For me, there's an opportunity to build on the way we're playing, the way we're asking the players to work. It's a great challenge in terms of a different style of game. I think it's a game we have to get right tactically, and the way that we press, the way that we use the ball. But we want to build on the last few performances, which I think each performance has improved the detail of how we want to play, and this is a chance to do that. I don't want to make loads of changes because I think you have some stability in the team, and the players that are coming in, that gives them an opportunity to perform at a better level. And also, if we don't keep some consistency, then we're not building, we're starting again almost. So you're always trying to find a balance of all of those things.
With this injury doubt over Wayne Rooney, might that open the door for Jack Wilshere?
Well, I wouldn't start Wayne in this game anyway, so we'll decide on which route we're going. But I wouldn't be looking to start Wayne in this game.
Can I ask who's going to be captain then?
Yeah, Jordan Henderson will be captain. The key for me with that, though, is that I believe we've got several leaders. One sitting next to me who's shown a great maturity since I've been in the role. And I don't think we can have just one captain. I think at times, I've said already, too much of that responsibility is laid with Wayne. We need to share that. There are leaders already, and there are other potential leaders who I think can step forward, and once you have a team full of those players, then we'll have a lot of success.
So obviously Jordan starts, Joe starts, he's here at the...
Yeah, I wouldn't put him through this without giving him a start. Yeah.
But on the Jack Wilshere issue, what sort of opportunity could this be for him and for Farim?
Well, I think the same as with all of the other players. We believe in the squad that we've picked. We think they're players that can play international level. Everybody's scenario with their club is slightly different. Jack's obviously had a longer period out prior to the last 5 or 6 weeks where he's played 90 minutes regularly. So physically he's getting to the peak level. There's no questioning his talent and his ability. That's why we've selected him, because we believe he's a player that can play at this level and in this sort of company. So, the opportunity for him to be back in with the squad was the first step, and then he will obviously want to get into the game.
Once this game is out of the way, the decision process as to who's going to become the next permanent England manager gets underway. You've talked a bit about the time span of that process and how important you feel it should be, well, perhaps sooner rather than later. Could you just expand upon that?
Yeah, well, the reality of what I said is that we've got, as an organisation, we've got to plan for an under-21s European finals, which the draw is in middle of December, an under-20s World Cup. We've got to plan for the seniors. So it's helpful when things are resolved, to know what everybody's work programme is. That's all I said. Of course, that's not quite as it's been reported this morning, but that's the reality for us as an organisation. So from my point of view, I'll get on with whatever I'm asked to do, but it would be helpful to know in which office and on which programme of work.
After the Spain game, though, I assume you will officially throw your hat into the ring, as it were. I know you've said all along beforehand it's not important my future, it's about getting these games out of the way. But
well, and that is the reality. You know, whatever happens in my situation, I wanted the players to have an experience that they felt was both enjoyable but challenging. We had a priority to be top of the group. We wanted to build on the performances we've had in October, and then everybody's got time to sit and reflect. Most importantly, the FA have the time to reflect, because there was a short-term need for somebody to step in and take that role. So whatever happens now is it will be a process that will be followed.
given what you've achieved in those 3 qualifiers, is there really any need for a process? I mean, you're in pole position. Surely this is the moment now that perhaps the FA could stand up and say, let's end all the uncertainty. You're the next permanent manager.
I think it's right to for everybody to reflect. If you're appointing a manager at any football club, in my opinion, you should take your time. You should see what fits with the philosophy of what you want to do. You should speak to all of the people you want to speak to, because who knows, somebody might emerge that you don't know so much about. Obviously, in some ways there was a disadvantage to having games, because everybody is assessing what you do in every one of those matches, and nobody else is actually being judged on having taken the team. But there's an advantage from my point of view in having had the experience of preparing for the matches we have. You know, Friday night was a huge game for the country, so from my point of view, in terms of an experience, it was great to be able to prepare the team for that and to come through that. And now tomorrow is the most important. I think this is a really exciting challenge, a top team, one of the top teams in Europe, a different style, different questions that will be asked of us, and that's a great game to prepare for as a group of coaches.
Given that experience, how much more now do you feel you can offer as a permanent England manager because of what you've learned in these last 3 games? That's
not important. You know, what's important is the game tomorrow. As I said, I was proud that we got the result on Friday. I think it's now a good opportunity for the players to take another step forward in the way that we want to play, the way that we want to work, and then everything else will take care of itself. Just going back to the football matters now, can I just ask you about Daniel Sturridge? He's taken criticism in some places for not being a team player, but what's your experience of him, and how good has he been for you over these recent games? Well, he's a goal scorer. First and foremost, he's a talented player. He's a goal scorer. I think his mentality to working with us has been excellent. He takes up, every striker has a slightly different way of playing and different skill sets that they bring to the party. He has some brilliant footwork, some great receiving skills. He likes to drop into different areas of the field. I think one of the things I wanted to highlight to him is where he gets his goals from, which is where he's got the goal for us the other night. It's a brave header, a clever header, and his goal scoring record for club and country is phenomenally high. So for me, he works for the team. He wants to be a part of the team. I think all goal scorers are slightly individual in what they do. That's the nature of being a forward. But I don't see any more of that in Daniel than any of our other forwards. Thanks, Gareth. Joe, could I just ask you, it's 4 clean sheets now in the qualifiers. How do you feel this England side are continuing to develop now under Gareth Southgate?
No, it was good. It was an important result for us on Friday night, and we set that up with the two performances against Malta, being the first game with the Slovenia game being a couple of days later. We got 2-0 up. We realised that they were quite happy with the 2-0, and we played well as a team and kept the ball. Slovenia we battled, which ultimately we want to be a really important point. And then the home game against Scotland with all eyes on us. we performed and we took our chances, which was good, and we were solid.
Is Euro 2016 out of everybody's system now, do you think?
You know, whether you want it to be or whether you don't, it has to be. For us to move forward, football moves forward, and we've got new goals. Obviously, we're disappointed about it, but you know, it's another day, it's another campaign, and we can't be licking wounds. We need to be moving forward.
Obviously, it's not the player's decision what happens in terms of the next manager, but what's the experience been like under Gareth Southgate?
Yeah, it's been really enjoyable. You know, Gareth's come in, and obviously the last trip would have been difficult for anyone to just be with the kind of uncertainty, but really, really cool and calm. You know, as you've seen, it's no act, and you know, that transferred to the players, and we feel comfortable. And like he said, we're trying to express ourselves as a team and find an identity. It's really difficult for an international manager to do that, I think, because you get such little time together and we're very new. But I feel with the work we're doing on and off the field, you know, we've got a really, really good squad in terms of wanting to learn and work for each other, not necessarily on the grass. And like I say, that came forward on Friday and hopefully again Tuesday night.
And picking up on what Gareth said, do you get a sense there are more leaders in this England squad and they're continuing to emerge?
Yeah, I think so. I think we've got some really important players from their club teams, and it's about encouraging them to. In this, you know, like I say, we don't spend much time together to be brave enough, but I think it's a really good environment that we work in, and with Wayne being our captain, you know, he's such a team man and so encouraging for all the other players that he doesn't, you know, he doesn't smother or swamp it or want it all to be about him, so he makes it easier for the other players to come forward. And you know, when people like Jordan or Gary captain the team, I think they feel comfortable that they've got help from all different angles.
You captained the team against Spain in Alicante a year ago. Is tomorrow night all about showing how much England have progressed, and are you looking forward to seeing the results of that?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the game. It's, you know, it's always special to play Spain. You know, they're a fantastic footballing nation. It's always good to really test yourself against the best, and we're definitely going to be doing that on Tuesday. And I'd like to think that they're going to be preparing for the game, and they're going to be excited about coming to Wembley and playing against England.
From the BBC. Do you actually want the job? I know we've talked about the pros and cons. Do you actually want the job of England manager on a permanent basis?
I don't think now is the time for those discussions. I've said everything is about the team. I'm not a coach for whom what happens to me is the most important thing. It's about, first and foremost, in these 4 matches I was asked to pick up, the team are in a healthy qualifying position, and that's been done. Now we'd like to build on that in the game tomorrow, and to show some style, some understanding of what we need to do without the ball. You know, our pressing has to be spot on, because if you don't get that right against Spain, then they can carve you apart. So our work with and without the ball has to be immaculate, and so that's a great challenge for us as a group of coaches and for all of the players.
This match does mark the end of your 4-match stint in charge. What do you think England need from the next manager, and what do you think the biggest challenges will be for the next manager?
Well, I think we've got some players that are really open to improving, are desperately keen to play, want to do well for their country, have a real desire to do that. I think we have some terrific athletes, which means that the style of play can be very much on the front foot. What's the challenge? I think continuity. You know, even in this 4 games, it would be easy for us the other night to have said, okay, we've got 3 games, we have to win this match. We're going to go solid, soak up pressure, hit teams on the break, play all of the experienced players and not try anything. Or we could do what we did and try to build from the back and play with some risk, and you know, involve some younger players and put our faith in younger players who we think are going to be the future, and look longer term. And my view of managing has always been you manage every game as if you're going to be there forever, and you make a decision for the long term. And if that doesn't work, then fine. But I think for any club or for any organisation, you have to think about long term, not just short. Of course, you've got to get short-term wins and medium-term wins to be able to put those things in place. But in terms of decision-making on what I think is right for us to be successful in the future, again, tomorrow, what's the plan? I either go selfish and shut up shop and try and win, eke out a 1-0, or we say, no, lads, let's play with belief. Let's go for what we think is the right way to play. We will get some of those things wrong. We'll get a lot of things right. I like the way the team look. But we have to think further forward.
Given that style you've tried to implement and the need for continuity and long-term planning, none of that seems possible if you keep chopping and changing your manager.
Absolutely, but after this period, somebody will be appointed for a longer period of time, and then you let them build. I think that's the challenge for any football club or any organisation. At a club, if a manager always feels that pressure, he won't always put young players in. For example, that's why I have to admire Maurizio. He puts Harry Winks into a North London derby with 10 minutes to go at 1-1. So it's not just a case of, okay, I'm just giving a youngster a game. He gives him belief and confidence that he has faith in him. So for me, that's always the way. But I know lots of clubs and organisations don't work that way.
One who have is Spain. They've placed their faith in a manager who's come through the age groups. Do you think that's the way we're starting to see things go now, and you don't necessarily have to be what some would describe as a big-name manager with a glittering managerial CV?
Well, how did those guys get to where they are in the first place, I suppose? Germany would be similar. There's been a system established over a long period of time. We play a team tomorrow that what's been going on there is about 15 years. They were winning youth international tournaments long before their seniors, and now their seniors are 2 cycles through what they're doing. So the manager picks up a consistent style of play, and all of the players that have been through the system know how that works. We're trying to establish that through all of our younger age groups as well. And the great challenge for us as a group tomorrow is how quickly can we put some of the ideas we're working on into place and test ourselves against the top team.
John Stones has been a huge talking point. Would you back him to continue playing the way he is, and are you happy with his performance?
In my view, in international football, you need defenders that are comfortable on the ball. And, I remember in 1996, we played Germany. Everybody was talking about Matthias Sammer. Where's our Sammer? It didn't prove to be me, unfortunately. So we had a dabble with Rio. Did we allow Rio to be quite as good as he might have been, or did we inhibit his progression a bit at times? John Stones is that type of defender. He's a number 6 rather than a number 5, if you want the old-fashioned terms. So to my mind, we have to encourage those sorts of players to play. Otherwise, we'll just keep watching the PKs and people and say, well, why can't we get those players in? If we're not prepared to allow our players to express themselves tomorrow, then we'll never progress to be a top team.
Just quickly to Joe, you don't want to talk about the Euros understandably, but do you think what is happening now, what's being put in place now, is being done to stop a repeat of that? Or what are the things that you feel need to be done to prevent that?
I don't think we're doing it as a prevention. I think we're just looking to move forward and evolve with the players that we've got. We want to qualify for this tournament as soon as possible, and then we want to do well in the tournament, not because we didn't do well in the last one. That's not the reasoning behind it. The reasoning behind us wanting to do well is because we're young, ambitious footballers. It's a short career, and I think we realise that we've got a good squad together, but there's a big difference between having a good squad of players and actually doing something. So we need to do the latter.
And can England do what Spain did, bringing young players through the style that Gareth talked about? I know it's very early days and they've become one of the greatest teams ever. But are England hopeful of replicating that to an extent?
We want to be us. We want to do what we're capable of. Spain were very special in how they did it, but well done to them. That's their identity. We're looking at creating our own one with our own attributes, being strong in what we're good at and being even stronger in what we're not very good at, and moving forward like that.
Good morning, from La Sexta TV, Spanish TV. It's a question for both. Are you afraid to have tomorrow in front Alvaro Morata? Of course you.
To you, boss.
Well, he's a very good player. Obviously we know Diego Costa extremely well because we see him every single week, but all of our players know Morata as well. So it's impossible to look at Spain and single out one player because they have such strength with the team and a clear philosophy of how they want to play. So whoever plays for them is part of a bigger system in terms of the way that they play, and the strength is in the team, not in any one individual, I think.
You, Joe? Are you afraid?
We've got to be confident in who we are, and we respect our opposition. As the manager just said, there's lots of threats, lots of good players in the Spanish team. So to single one out in particular would be silly of us.
Carrie?
You talked about there being a number of leaders in this England side. Is there a sense you would like to get away, ideally in the future, in the position from the captaincy issue, which has been occasionally a distraction in the build-up?
Well, I think the most important thing is that we have a group of players who feel they have ownership and that they take responsibility. There's a lot of intelligent footballers in this squad, and a lot of the problems that happen on the field, we need them to play a part in working out. We have ideas as a group of coaches, but also when you're in the middle of the field and in the middle of the battle, you've got to be able to make decisions. So it can't just be that we say that that's how we play and then there's no room for decision making on the pitch. And part of that will be leaders helping others and also taking responsibility themselves at key moments in games.
You released Harry Kane back to his club here, Tottenham, yesterday. In a sense, with an international team that doesn't have the winter break that the other European teams do have, how important is appreciating player management for Tottenham?
Well, I think Harry obviously hadn't played a 90 minutes before he joined us, but we felt it was important for a qualifying match that if we needed him for 30 minutes, and he's a player with a great goal-scoring record and a psychological impact perhaps on the opposition, that it was important to have that opportunity. Once we knew everybody was okay from the game, then what's right for him to get himself fully fit and up and running. And the training that we would be doing over the next couple of days is very light. We're gearing towards the game. It wouldn't be my intention to start him in the game again because of the match time he's had. His adjustment back into football physically has got to be right. So it's a bit of a unique situation to have a player that has 7 weeks out and then is reporting after 70 minutes for his club. So I think to manage that is just sensible, really.
But for a sense for you, for a big result against Spain, which would be ideal going for the candidate of an England job, you didn't have the sense that it would be nice to have him on the bench for the management instead?
Well, and that's my point earlier, really. It would be very easy to make a lot of short-term decisions just to help yourself. But I don't believe that should be what we're doing. I think we've got to do what's right. We've got to make correct decisions, not convenient decisions, not easy decisions as well at times. But what we believe are the right decisions for the right reasons.
Question to Joe. Obviously, at the time that Gareth came in, the mood wasn't great. How is the mood now in the dressing room, and how much has he contributed to that?
The mood's it's a good group to be in. It's a really professional group, and the boys want to improve. And I think it was good that even though Gareth came in as a new manager, if you like, he knew a lot of us. We'd always seen him around the place, the ones who hadn't played 21s with him, and a lot of the younger players obviously felt a little bit more comfortable. They had someone they could relate to. It's obviously helped with how he's been. Like I say, he is how he is. He's good to be around, and we're trying to build, and we appreciate that, and he appreciates that we're ready to try and help as well.
We've seen the financial commitment with St George's Park, the talk of DNA with Gareth in the top job and knowing everyone so well. Does it feel like there's a real sense of cohesion when you arrive there, that everyone is coordinated?
We're trying to do that no matter what. We're all really proud to turn up and play for our country, and we appreciate that we need to to build a team spirit as quickly as possible, because it's not something that we don't spend as much time together, but we try and do that. And obviously the manager's bought into that, and we're trying to work as a unit.
And how do you work with Gareth? What he contributed to your game?
Well, he's played me, which I'm very grateful for. Yeah, been very honest, and Gareth's approach is, I'm sure he said he likes to get to know his players and speak to his players. And it's a style that I personally like, and you give and you receive, and that's how we're trying to work.
And in a sense, a big test against Spain. How hungry is that dressing room now to get a big win against a team that many haven't got great expectations on you, to be honest with?
Well, we have, so that's the main thing. We like you say, we are very hungry for a good result Tuesday and a good performance. We're very grateful for the turnout on Friday night. Speaking to the guys, they're saying it's going to be another big turnout for Tuesday. So to play for your country in front of close to 90,000 people against one of the best teams in the world, if you're struggling to get up for that, then you wouldn't be in this England squad anyway.
Last question or two.
It's often said that international football doesn't really matter, and especially friendlies. Why does this one tomorrow matter so much?
Well, it does. You don't have many opportunities to work together as a team and improve as a team, establish a way of playing, challenge yourself against top players in front of, as Joe said, of 85, 90,000 people. Every match that you play for your country is important. You're one of the privileged few that get the opportunity to do it, and to play at Wembley and to play against the top side is an honour. So for me, I think the players unquestionably have the desire to do that. They have the desire to want to improve. They have the desire to show what they can do against the top team and pitch themselves against the top team. And our mentality going into the game will be good.
You've mentioned that Spain had a successful youth structure that has developed into one of the best teams that we've ever seen. How much do you want to see England go down the same route? You haven't been involved with the youth setup. What do you think needs to be done to get?
Well, I think in the last few years we've won the under-17 Europeans twice. We've the best record in Europe in qualifying for the under-21 finals. We've got to try and improve what we do when we get there. So there are signs that there is progression. We're taking our coaching structure and our work at those levels very seriously. And I can see good quality players coming through at our clubs and in our junior system. So there are a lot of signs of progression. Of course, at those age groups, that's going to take a little while for that to come through to the senior team. But all of these guys need to be challenged from the younger ones coming through. They need to feel confident in what they're doing, but also, there's a few coming through that are going to push us for our places, and I think that brings out the best in everybody.
You've mentioned your opposite number, Lopetegui, previously. What can you tell us about him and how he will set up Spain and what we can expect tomorrow from Spain?
Well, I know Gines, who's the technical director from Spain. I spent a lot of the summer with him in working with UEFA, so I know how they work as a group of coaches and the system there. Julian has made small tweaks to the way that they play, but there's a consistency in what they do anyway. At times they've played with a 3-diamond-3. I think it's more likely there'll be a 4-3-3 tomorrow. But the style, whatever the formation, the style is what has been key to their success, and this conveyor belt of good young players that keeps coming through.
Last question.
Joe, you've now gone to Italy to play in Torino. What have you learned and brought back from there, playing there, that is helping you with your international career?
I don't know. It's hard to say. I've obviously involved. I've had 10 games now with Torino, and I've enjoyed that style of football. It's very different to the Premier League, but it's my life now. So it's Serie A is my football, and how we build up and how we play links in quite similar to how we're playing here. So I wouldn't say it's totally changed too much of me, but it's all nice experiences, and it's all adding and hopefully trying to make me a better player, which I strive to be every day.
Thank you very much. We'll head upstairs now for the daily newspaper brief.